Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cardaholics of all ages, welcome back to Big Al's Cards, and thank you so much for watching. In today's video, I want to talk about 2023 Topps Chrome, and I know this information is a little bit older now by a couple of days. I just got back from a brief vacation, but I wanted to make sure that I did a video discussing what's happening with Topps Chrome this year, and the bit of puzzling decisions that Topps and Fanatics have made regarding this hobby staple. So the other day it came out, Topps had put out information on the pre-orders for 2023 Topps Chrome, which is something that they've been doing recently. Personally, I don't see a point to pre-ordering any kind of Topps product because it's going to be so readily available that I don't really get why you need to pre-order it. But that's a discussion for another day. So they put the pre-orders out, and in the pre-order sheet, it said that hobby boxes come with 1 auto per box and jumbos come with 3. If you guys remember, hobby boxes come with 2 autos historically, and jumbos come with 5. So right off the bat, we notice a really big change in terms of what is going to be available in these boxes. And they're cutting the number of hits. The other thing that we noticed is that they added a whole bunch of parallels. I believe there was one to 275. There was one to, there's a wave parallel that I noticed on the odd sheet, which tells you that the print run of this is going to be astronomical. And when you look at the odds, it almost looks like it's harder than it was even last year, which was really hard, to hit any kind of hit in retail. Now, of course, hobby and jumbo, if you're looking for those kinds of hits, are going to be the way to go. Retail is gradually, continually being watered down, so it's not really going to be a big surprise. But it's, of course, sad for somebody like me who primarily does retail to know that it's going to take a lot more to get any kind of hit. And even then, it's going to be just tougher to get the really good hits that you're hoping for. But I also got to remember, too, it's retail. Don't hold your hopes out. So then yesterday, Wednesday, the 28th, the pre-order prices came out. Hobby boxes were priced at, I believe it was $125, and then jumbos were at $299, which in the grand scheme of things is a fair price. However, that's a fair price when you consider the mass amount of Topps Chrome that they produce and the old number of hits. I mean, when you look at the Topps Chrome boxes that have come out recently with the 2 autos in a hobby and a 5 in a jumbo, depending on how the rookies do, it tends to stagnate and drop in price. If you look at last year's Topps Chrome, now granted, Topps Chrome last year had a lot of issues. Most notably, the short print rookies weren't included in the product. When you consider that, the jumbos were $275, and I think hobbies are less than $150, I believe. So it's not the most fair comparison when you consider the issues that were prevalent with Topps Chrome. However, you still see that sitting, right? And it's less than what you can get the current boxes for with more hits. The other thing to consider is we also don't know what the checklist looks like, which I think is pretty problematic of Topps. I think if you're going to have us pre-order, I think we should know what we're trying to aim for personally. Like, who's going to be on there? Who's going to have a Chrome rookie autograph? Who's going to have Chrome cards? What exactly are we trying to get? Because it's at this point, it just comes across as an interest-free loan when you pre-order anything from Topps these days without knowing what the checklist is going to be. Even pre-ordering blasters, it's like, I don't know what you're going to be doing. So how am I supposed to know what I should be going for? So I think that these pre-orders would go a lot better, personally, if Topps would just release the checklist ahead of time, especially for a major product like Chrome. Topps Chrome is a hobby staple. It's, I think, better to know the checklist ahead of time than to just gamble. But then again, that kind of seems like what Fanatics is really going for, is appealing to the gamblers. The other interesting thing to note with Topps Chrome is that there's a new SKU, and that is the breaker box. So there's going to be a box specifically dedicated to our friends, the breakers. And again, it's just problematic because Fanatics continues to appeal to breakers, which they're going to continue to do no matter what my thoughts are. I'll readily admit that. They're just going to continue to do it. But I wish they wouldn't, because breakers aren't the entirety of the hobby. You're going to see a lot of single prices on Topps Chrome, and you're not going to really, I personally, again, with a lot of the rookies, that you put on there specifically with the autos, it ends up not really being worth your money unless you hit a big one. And even then, what is your profit margin ultimately going to be? I don't necessarily see a point in pre-ordering something like Topps Chrome, especially considering the changes that they made to it. The prices were fine, but again, they're really fine if it's marked out the same way as it has been with 5 autos and 2 autos for jumbos and hobbies respectively. Cutting the number of autos doesn't necessarily make it worth the chase, but that's just my opinion on it. Um, I think Topps Chrome this year is going to be a very interesting feel. I think it's going to be very different. Personally, again, I'm still a retail primarily guy, so I am going to try to get a couple of retail blasters, but I don't know if I'm really going to be opening as much as I have in years past. Um, because if it's going to be that much harder to try to get something, I don't know if it's really going to be worth the money. Of course, I'm going to try to get Chrome rookies of a lot of the key guys. And if I can pull a parallel of them, hey, great, awesome. That's exactly what I want. But I'm not going to go too crazy trying to chase after a bunch of it because I think it's going to be everywhere. I think it's going to sit, especially with blaster prices again at $34.99. So I don't know. Topps Chrome this year doesn't have the same fun feel as it has in years past. I think partly because of the changes to the format. And I also think partly due to this continuing appeal to breakers, who, again, they're not the enemy, but they're not the entirety of the hobby. And I don't think Fanatics really understands that. But when do they fully understand what the hobby really wants out of a product? I think, again, people are going to have fun with Topps Chrome. I'm not discounting the product yet because we don't know what the checklist looks like. There's interesting things. I want to see what a taco fractor is. Yes, a taco fractor is an actual thing that's going to be on in Topps Chrome. I want to know what that looks like. And if there's going to be an Aaron Judge taco fractor, there's my dream card right there. But I also think that a lot of it might end up sitting. And I don't know what that's going to signal to Topps and Fanatics if they're even willing to receive those signals. As we've seen a lot recently, Fanatics and Topps seem to be going in directions that we really don't necessarily want them to, but we all kind of expected them to. So it'll be really interesting to see. I think this will be one of the first times that, depending on how the product performs, it might get Topps and Fanatics thinking, okay, maybe we're jumping the shark a little bit, or maybe we're doing things wrong, and maybe we need to get some input from the people who matter, and that is the people in the hobby. But those are all my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think about the new Topps Chrome, what you think it's going to be, if it's going to be worth it. Please leave a like, subscribe, stay tuned for more videos, and until next time, bye-bye.